In this episode of Draw Along, we're going to be drawing the fastest animal on the farm, the rocket chicken. To begin drawing the rocket chicken, we're going to be making a shape that almost looks like a jelly bean that's had the bottom part of it cut off. This is going to be the chicken's head. Next thing that we're going to do is make a whole bunch of arcs that are connected. We want to make sure that they're different shapes to give it a little bit of variation. Otherwise, it's just going to look a little stale. To start the body, we want to make a very long arc that's going to end at the tail. So make sure that you're happy with the length. Feel free to erase and keep trying again until you get it the right size. The next shape is going to be a bit of a weird one, but I'll talk you through it. We're going to make a straight line that goes to the length of what you want the tail to be, then we're going to use some looping arcs and connect it back to the arc that we made for the body. This is going to be another weird shape that you might want to take a couple of tries at and erase if you don't get it right. But make a curved line and then start doing the looping arcs the same way that we did on the tail. To draw the rocket boosters, we're going to start by making a long, narrow arc and make sure that it overlaps with our body. We don't want it to meet up with the line, but we want it to go over the body. And once you're done that, do a curved line that connects the two parts of the arc. Because there's two boosters on this rocket chicken, we want to make sure to draw the other one starting from the edge of the back a little bit forward and ending just short of the other one, and we want to mirror the shape of the front rocket booster that we can see. Because the feet of our rocket chicken will be flying back as it goes through the air, we're going to start by drawing the bottom edge of the foot and one of the toes. Feel free to keep trying again until your shape looks like mine. Sometimes I have to draw things over a few times to get it the way I like it. Now we're going to draw this toe slightly behind it, starting from the top of the other toe that we had just drawn. We're going to draw one more toe, and as it goes back, we're going to want to give it a bit of a bump to indicate that it's another claw. We're going to make the back toe of our bird by drawing a quick little arc. I'm going to draw another arc slightly behind it and slightly more further forward. The next toe will be even further forward than this toe. We're also going to mirror the same line on the top of the one foot for the back foot, except that we're going to move it slightly forward, and we're just going to draw a quick line on the bottom to finish that foot off. The jet trail from the rocket is one of the more fun things that you can draw. We're going to do a whole bunch of arcs, changing the size from big to small to medium, and really trying to be creative with how we put this in. Again, feel free to mix it up and make it look unique. Now we're going to create the back jet trail. We're going to just draw a line that goes into one of the big smoke bubbles that we have, and we're going to play around with the shapes. It took me a couple of tries to get it the way that I liked it, so don't feel discouraged if it doesn't look good the first time you do it. Now we're going to do some spirals to make the top part of the chicken's head. Feel free to play around with sizing, the number of spirals, see what looks good, what doesn't. Now we want to make the beak of the chicken. We're going to make sure that our initial line goes off the face, and we're going to do a bit of a curve that will go from point to point. Make sure that your ending of your beak does not end on the line. It'll make it look a little silly. Now I'm going to draw the opening in the chicken's mouth, and I want to just use a little bit of a curve, and the curve that we make will actually be the inside of the mouth. Now we're going to use a couple of lines to make the bottom part of the beak. To draw the wattle that's flapping in the wind, we're going to use some spiraling lines. Yeah, it's called a wattle. I had to look it up. I had no clue what it was called. Because no rocket chicken would be complete without goggles, we're going to start them off by making two very large circles. One of them we want to make sure is going off the face. To make the bands that are holding on the goggles, we're just going to use a couple of curved lines. Make sure that they're not straight because that'll make it look like the chicken's head is kind of flat. So we want to make sure that we're using curved lines here. Because we're not bolting these jetpacks straight onto the chicken, we're going to draw a large band around the chicken's belly that will act as the strap that holds the boosters onto the chicken. And we're going to do that by making some lines. And again, make sure that they're curved here and make sure the bottom part goes slightly off the body so it looks like it has some thickness. Now we have a whole bunch of lines that don't belong in our drawing anymore. Instead of telling you what they are, I'm just going to point a whole bunch of arrows to them and you can erase them as we go. We have the bulk of our drawing done. Now we're just going to add in some details to bring it a little more to life. So we're going to start off by doing the lenses inside the goggles, and we're just going to do some circles inside our already big circles. Because these lenses will catch some light, we're going to draw 2 highlights on each of them, and we're going to draw a big circle near the top left-hand side of each lens and a little circle near the bottom right-hand side of each lens. Because I think these jetpacks are a little too plain right now, I'm just going to add in some detail into it, and I'm going to start that by drawing some rims around the back edges of the engines. Because I felt like the rockets needed to be open somehow, I added just a random generic hatch in here. Again, adding to the random detail of the rockets, I just decided to add some domes. I drew it in there, it looked okay, I decided to stay with it. The last thing I did to the engines was add a couple of weird finger shapes onto the top. I was thinking that they might be air vents, but they could literally be anything. Feel free to change these shapes up, add in some holes, some dots, anything that you really want to make these engines look like your own. At this point, we're really getting down to some fine detail. I decided that the hatch looked like it needed some screws in it, so I just added some tiny dots to each of the corners of the square. At this point in the drawing, I feel like the belt looks a little flat. So I'm going to draw a straight line going down it, hoping that this makes it look like the belt has some thickness. With that, we've finished up our rocket chicken. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment below. Tell me what you want to draw. I literally just drew a rocket chicken, so I'm open for anything. See you next time, everybody.